My next guest is an ex team member and someone I became close friends with over the years. Our camaraderie is pretty evident for you to witness as the chat unfolds. We've learned quite a bit from one another, and I'm truly fortunate to have met this beautiful soul. Welcome to Candid with Candy. I am your host, Candy, and with me today I have my brave heart, Kishan Banerji. Hello, Kishan. I'm so excited to have you on my show.
Hey Candy, and equally excited to be on your show as well.
Yay, finally we get to do this together, and I think it'll be a surprise for a lot of people. Um,
Yeah,
but I'm happy that we are crossing paths again like this. Who would have thought, right?
it's been 4 years that we haven't seen each other in person, and
Yeah.
now we are seeing each other virtually across seas, oceans.
For a show, for everybody to watch.
For everybody to watch. Yeah, and we will both. I will try and be as courteous and as nice as possible. I'll try and ensure that there aren't any of those extra jokes put in.
No, I'll allow you to share maybe a joke or two as long as we don't bore the audience.
Yeah, no one is going to get bored with you for sure. Candid with Candy.
Okay, you're being too kind now. With that, thank you so much again. And if you could give us a quick introduction, and we'll jump right in.
It's an honor that you even thought of having me on your channel. But just a little about me. I am a 14-year professional in the learning and development world. Started off from humble beginnings, and really worked hard, persevered to learn, grow, and I'm still learning. It's just an amazing journey as far as my professional life is concerned. And you know quite a lot about that. I think that's how both of us got to know each other. The last 6.5 years of my 14 years is how we really got to know one another. Personally speaking, I come from different parts of India. So currently, I'm in a place called Gurugram, small little city, but okay. So that's my dog making noise.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about your childhood and how you were brought up?
Yeah. So I had an interesting childhood. No, uh, as I said, I was born in Delhi, and my mom is a single parent, and that's how pretty much things started off. She has done quite a lot in her career as well, and she made a very bold decision back in the 80s to adopt me. So I'm an adopted son of my mother. It wasn't all that easy for her, and a lot of things that she underwent, is a part of my childhood as well. I've had a great childhood, and I've had some great life lessons. She moved from Delhi, having a great job working in the Trade Commission for foreigners and all of that, and she was doing really well. But she moved all of that purely for my education to Dehradun and Missouri, and that's how I came over here for my education. She's given up a lot. She sacrificed a lot as well, and things weren't all that easy, and I draw a lot of inspiration from things that I've had the opportunity of experiencing in my childhood. Like I said, I think I couldn't have asked for a better childhood. Not at any point was I made to feel any lesser, while I went to school or did anything or college. It can get quite difficult or tedious at times, where people would always want to fill things in application forms and say, okay, father's name, mother's name, and all of that. I was kind of brought up that it's absolutely fine to be who you are, and hence I'm very proud to talk about my childhood and how I was raised, and the decision that my mother took as well, how tough it was for her. She had the blessings of Mother Teresa to get me, and she talks about that story to me. At that time in the 70s and 80s, she had to go to Mother Teresa because it wasn't easy for her to get a
Mother
single male
Teresa
child for a
herself.
single mother.
I'm sorry
Yes,
Mother Teresa herself. Like, you're not talking about.
Mother Teresa. Yes, my mom went to the Chief Justice of India. She got the blessings of Mother Teresa to get me. from the Red Cross Society. I was part of the Red Cross Society when she decided to get me, and she tells me these stories, and she continued telling me these stories from when I was very young, because she didn't want that as I grew up, I should look at this as a taboo or an issue, or people would make things out of it. She was very straightforward, forthright, and very clear about things that she went through. And that's why I had a very clear, transparent, and objective approach to life. Nothing ever bothered me, whoever said anything. It never really bothered me. And I was very proud of it.
So, how old were you, Kishan?
I was, 4, 5 months old is what my mom tells me
Oh,
when she got me.
you were an infant.
I was an infant, yeah. So
Oh,
she got me and she was working at that time.
yeah, and you talk about, such a decision, an Indian woman making such a choice at that day and age. I'd love to have Auntie on the show too one day, because I just cringe thinking about, um, the judgment, the labels, the kind of things people would have said to her. First of all, I'm sorry. First of all, the decision to stay single
Yeah.
is one, right? And then, making that decision to have you is another thing. So it's like, wow. I mean, she's
hmm
something else, isn't she?
Yeah, well, she's definitely something else, and all the things, when I look back, I am, um I don't emote that much. So sometimes she feels that, hey, I'm very cold-hearted, and I don't, I'm not the hugging kind of a person, and I'm not the I
One
love you
second.
saying kind of a.
1 second. You have to rephrase that. You don't mean cold hearted. Come on.
I would say, in
Maybe
the sense that
no
that's how
people,
I'm portrayed.
no public display of affection is very different from being a cold hearted. I know that you're not cold
Yes,
hearted. Yeah.
yes, I'm not. Yeah, so probably that's the right phrase to say.
Yeah. Don't scare
That
me.
that my public display of affection is very poor. Well, she also had the support of a lot of people. It was not all that bad as well. It was tough. There were judgments for sure, but she had a huge amount of support system in the form of my grandparents, in the form of her friends who supported this decision. And I think it was also a result of her upbringing, her education. That upbringing kind of made
Mm.
her very broad-minded. So she kind of balanced the traditional aspect of being an Indian woman, yet having a very broad mind to live her life the way that she wanted to. And
Your own terms,
people
right?
talk about, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Um, I know I've met Auntie, and just the way she carries herself, right? That's enough to show that there's just full of confidence, and there's no fear, there's no regret. There's just she's just so I think strong is a very mild word, because I couldn't have even done one fourth of the things she's done. So um, you know, no wonder she's brought up such a great son. I mean, PDA, okay, yeah, that's questionable. But I remember giving you a hug once or twice, Kishan. But you are one of the kindest people I know. I think you polite. I've never I've never seen you being unkind or being harsh, and you've been one of the calmest people also, right? And we share a great sense of humor together, so that's something that I love most, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you kind of transformed me when I joined, and when we met each other as well, because I was this typical reserved, kind of a bit of a stuck-up kind of a person.
You're being
And my day one of my no, 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 it's true. I was an absolute nerd with a capital N. And my day one of joining was like, wow. By the time I went back home, and you took complete pride in torturing me on day one. I'll never forget that. You know, you were like, hey, you log in, start your Outlook. I'll start sending you emails. I'm sending you a presentation. Just work on this right now. And I'm like, what the hell is happening? This is my day one. And then after like good 5 hours of me trying to figure out what's happening with me, then you say, you can go home now. Tomorrow you'll come and like, thanks. I feel like I'm 10 years old in the organization.
You make me sound like a horrible boss, Kishan.
No, 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 no. I thank my stars for that. I thank my stars for that. Had you not done that, I would have probably taken it really lightly back then. But you did it. See, you also have this thing, Candy. You have a way. See, it's one thing about being a boss, and it's one thing about being a coach and a mentor. So I think you've always taken the route of being a great coach whenever you've chosen to be a coach, a great mentor when you've chosen to be a great mentor. And I think that's why pretty much everyone loves you for who
Oh,
you are as a coach and a mentor.
thank
So
you.
I don't mind it at all.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I'll never forget the day that I interviewed you, and you come in with your dashing gray suit and a white shirt, a la beach shirt, right? The Benetton shirt. I think you had cufflinks on, and I was like, wow, who is this guy? I remember that day really well. And I'm like, I think I'm underdressed for this interview.
And on my day one itself, I remember how how you made me feel. So you introduced me to someone. You said, "Meet Kishan," and at that time, I had this way of greeting someone, saying, "Hi, pleasure to meet you." And then you looked at me. He talks like that. This is him who talks like that in today's era. Pleasure to meet you. And I was like, wow, okay, all right. So
Yeah,
yeah, I remember that.
those were,
Good old days.
yeah, one of the best days. Thank you so much for bringing those memories up. Ah, with that, um, the inspiration that you drew from your mom, that was a very nice, touching story. What about you, right? Can you think of any, strange incident or maybe a funny incident, an uncomfortable incident um, related to this?
So I think there was this one incident that happened when I had to open my first ever bank account. And this lady was doing it on my behalf, and she was in full flow. She was just going on a tick mark exercise, my name and my date of birth, and she was filling all of that in. And then she asked for my father's name, and I just told her, no, there's no father, just please mention mother's name. And there was no column for mother's name, so she just gave me a look with big beady eyes, and she was like, in Hindi she just said, नहीं तो फिर नाम तो लिखना होगा ना, which basically means I have to write something, right? So I'm sure you have a father, because she assumed that my father has died. So I was like, no, 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 there is no father. You please write mother's name. She again looked at me with beady eyes, and I was kind of losing my patience for a minute there. So I had to explain everything to her in Hindi, and I said, you better write mother's name, because you wouldn't want my mother coming down here and explaining it to you. It wouldn't be a pleasant story because my mother is a very hot tempered woman otherwise. And she's very proud about this fact. For that matter, if anybody ever calls her also Mrs. Banerjee, she'll be like, excuse me, that's Miss, not Mrs. So she's that finicky about who she is as a person. So I told her, I said, you don't want my mother coming down over here, do you? And then with a sad, confused, sullen face, she looked at me as if I've just landed from Mars.
So, my next question related to this is, did you ever feel the absence of a father, Kishan?
Not really, Candy, not really. I think that's because my mom kind of played that role. She played the dual role of being a father and mother as well. She disciplined me. She kind of showed me the values of education, and all of those values were there. And I think even when I didn't understand a lot of things as a child, she would keep talking about these things to me, that when you grow up, you'll be able to relate to what I'm telling you now. And I now understand.
Right? The adolescent boys, first girlfriends, I don't know, the itch for a cigarette. It could be anything, right? Because boys
So she
and
was very
yeah.
clear about it, no? Because my mom smokes. So she was like, "You want to smoke? I'll give you. You want to drink? You please tell me and do it in front of me. So whatever you do, just be transparent. No, don't hide anything, or don't do anything behind my back."
So with that, I think first of all, extremely brave of you. I know you said that this is something that you've been your mom's been telling you about, to be open and not to hide and just be confident about who you are. But then, talking about it on a platform like this, which is the World Wide Web, you know what I'm talking about? I think is just really courageous and brave of you. This just means that you don't care about the judgment. You don't care about, the naysayers. And that just talks about the strength, right? That you have as a person. And, let me take this moment to say that, Kishan, I'm so proud of you. And I'm so happy that, you came to my life. I'm so happy that you were in my team. Sorry. You made me cry. Stupid.
I made you cry.
You make everything sound so effortless, Kishan, and it just talks so much about who you are. And once again, I'm so happy to have met you, and I wish you the very, 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 very best.
Thank you so much, Candy. Thank you so much.
With that, your love for dogs, that's the next topic that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
um you and your mom both, animals in general, or is it dogs more?
It's animals in general. I think both me and my mom, we have love for nature. We have love for the simple and crude things in life. Even when we were living in the hills, we had a very simple kind of a cottage, kind of a house filled with loads of animals. I mean, I think at one point we had close to one, two, three, four, five dogs, two parrots, two turtles, and all of that in Delhi. So you can imagine.
You sound
So
like Noah's Ark.
yeah, literally, literally at this one point when I look back, our house was almost like a Noah's Ark. From
Wow.
birds to turtles to dogs, we had all animals living under the same roof. I've grown up as a child with dogs, and they are less of pets and more of family members. So they just bring a lot of life and a lot of uh, love, laughter, excitement to our lives, because it's a small nuclear house I have. It's just me and my mom.
Now, the next question is probably the most interesting one. Obviously, everybody's by now, 15, 20 minutes in, everybody's wondering, oh my God, this is a cool dude. Is he available?
I think when you call me a cool dude, but I'll take that.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about your singledom, right? If I were to put it that way. Uh, I know that, a lot of teasing and joking not only happens to you, but most of my single friends who are still single, you know. So how is that working out for you, Kishan?
That's a good question. I think I'm not going to give my exact age. So I'm in my mid 30s. But till date, if my relatives and my seniors come back to me and say the typical cliche quote and unquote statement, "Beta, settle kab ho rahe ho?" Right? That's the statement which is basically, "Hey, when are you settling down in life?" And I wonder to myself, hey, 14 years of work experience, I've achieved whatever I've achieved, a lot of hard work, stability of job, stability of financials, everything fine. What truly is the definition of being settled? Is it really about getting married? Is that when you're called settled? Or otherwise, until then, you are
You're
unsettled,
unsettled.
you know, relatives, to people who know me, or in at work. There's always this big question mark: why? Why am I still single? Is something terribly wrong with me? Am I ugly? Am I not attracted to people? What's wrong? Do I have a mental issue? Do I have some mental problem? And I struggle sometimes educating people. It's absolutely fine to be single as long as I am happy. What's wrong with that? And I know it's even tougher for a woman to be single. It's much tougher because there are several question marks, but it's equally tough for a man.
That was what I was going to say. My conclusion of this whole singledom, singlehood, is that we feel that it's very difficult for women, but in a country like ours, what you're saying is it's equally difficult, and you have to kind of justify why almost all the time, right? And it's always a question of why. And if
Exactly.
something is in fact wrong with the person, which is extremely stupid, but that's just the way we function, and something that really needs to change.
And nothing is fixed in life. You never know, I may end up getting married as well. My take is, let it just happen, let it flow. I respect people who are married, I respect the institution of marriage as well, but I don't want to tie myself down by saying by X date, by X age I have to find someone and get married, and by X age I need to have a child. It I cannot boundary myself that way. And that's why I enjoy being single right now. I have my priorities, my goals in life. This is definitely not a priority or a goal for me.
Respect for you for that. And you brought up an interesting part again, having a child at a certain age is what you said. And when we had spoken earlier, uh, because of your inspiration, the inspiration that you draw from your mom, I think you had also tried to venture out on that option, right? The adoption option.
Yeah. Now you have websites, you have policies, you have regulations, you have laws. Things are definitely a lot more structured in terms of the process of adopting a child in India, but it isn't all that easy a process. um, the simplest example I can give you is, I can't adopt a female child. So being a
That's because
single
you're,
man, I wouldn't be.
uh,
Sorry.
sorry,
Yeah.
that's because you're a single parent or a man.
Exactly. Because I'm a single man, I wouldn't ever be given a priority or a preference to adopt a girl child. I would have to only adopt a male child. And if you go through the legal route, the right process as well, I could be on a waiting list for years until I could get the child that I want. I can't maybe even choose the child I want, because the government has this entire process set up that we will give you the child that we choose based on the waiting list and the number. So you never know the child that you are getting as well. So sometimes it can be tricky, it can be difficult. It's a big decision. And now I realize, with the way my work lifestyle is, I probably wouldn't have been able to manage it, leave alone going through the process of even getting a child. There are celebrities in our country, very popular celebrities that people talk about, whether it's Sushmita Sen and so many others. They struggled to get their kids. Sushmita Sen had to wait for a year and go do multiple trips to the court to get her child. So that only explains how tough it can be for a commoner
Mhm.
like us.
Whatever decision you make, and if you do decide to become a father, I think you'll make a wonderful father. And you have the potential to raise up maybe not even one kid, right? Lots of kids, and ensure that they have a very free future, if you will. I don't know how bright it will be, but when I talked about bright, it
I
remind
know, I know what you're thinking about right now. We must share that story, and I will share that story. Viewers, you must listen to this. So there was this one moment wherein Candy's laptop stopped working while she was at work. I was sitting right next to her. It was unfortunate that she had to log in through a desktop, and with her sense of humor, she opened the desktop, she looked at it with a very sad, glum face. She said, "My gosh, this is so bright, I can see my future." And I will never forget the look on your face and that impromptu statement. It's registered in my head. It's like a click picture. Gosh, I can see my future. It's so bright. And you were asking us, how do I minimize the brightness of this desktop? I can't see properly. So yeah, that
in
was
the
quite
middle
an
of
incident.
such a profound discussion, this joke had to come up. So I'll end my
On this
profound
note,
thought still. If you make the decision to become a father, whatever that age is, I think that your child will have a very free and bright future.
Thank you so much. Although most of my friends tell me that whenever your kid is going to happen, we will keep our kid 20 miles away from your kid because you're going to ruin that child. Considering I can be very strict and disciplined at times, but no, that's really nice to
Being
hear.
strict and disciplined doesn't equal ruin, okay? Being strict and disciplined equals great little human beings. So don't worry about it.
I know, but what my friends tell me is that I'm an exceptionally boring person, so they really fear for my child, what I'll do to my child.
Then they haven't really spent quality time with you. I mean, I can vouch for you that one thing you're not is boring, right? You could be shy,
Yeah,
you could be a little reserved, but you're definitely not boring. You and I have had I mean,
crazy times.
so many funny moments.
There are several such incidences of you making me sit with you and driving on the wrong side of the road, and then and then telling me, oh my god, what am I doing? What am I doing? We're gonna die. And I'm like, crap, man, where am I stuck myself? I'll never forget that day. You driving on the wrong side, and there are just cars coming against us.
You're not supposed to say that on a show like this.
It's absolutely okay. It's a true story.
Oh gosh. Okay, I had a fun time today. Wow.
Likewise, Candid. I think I've had a great time today. We have spoken of so many things, personal, professional, and all crazy moments as well. So I'm honored. Thank you so much for inviting me and giving me this platform as well. And we shall talk again soon
Yeah.
about some more crazy stuff.
Yeah. And a little bit of a PDA in the end to embarrass you.
Oh gosh, see, I'm still getting conscious about the PDA.
Take care, Kishan. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you, everybody, for watching, and I hope you enjoyed Kishan's story. Please like, subscribe, and share. By the way, Kishan, when are you getting married?